Good. Okay, so I'm here at Open Source 101. It's Tuesday, March the 3rd, and I'm with Ross Bagley. Ross, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate that. You're with Diesel Laptops, a great company. You're doing really interesting things. I'll be honest, when you said yes to participate in this event, I was thrilled because I'd heard about you and your company and what you're doing, but really only sort of peripherally. So I'd looked at it from the outside. I was really intrigued. I'm from West Virginia, okay,
Right.
so very blue-collar area. I grew up around engines. I grew up around cars. I grew up around diesel trucks. This was the environment in which I was just raised in that sort of environment. So there's a big technology component to a lot of that maybe a lot of people don't realize. And I know that that's not maybe exactly what you do, but it's sort of in that general area. But that's really what caught my interest, in the fact that you're located here in Richland County, in the greater Columbia area, or in the greater Midlands area. That even intrigued me more. So we reached out. You were very gracious to agree to participate in this conference and be on site with us today. So I wanted to ask you in maybe just 5-10 minutes, tell us what you're doing, what the company's all about, what your mission statement is, and then maybe we'll wrap up with anybody listening or viewing. How can they get involved? What do you need? How can they help you out if they want to if they want to connect with you or make contact?
Sounds great. Well, thanks for having us here. Let me give you a little history about kind of who we are, where we came from, and actually where we're going, because it's a quick shift, but it's a very significant shift. Tyler Robertson started this business 5 years ago this month in his garage. And it was just a side gig where he was taking laptops and putting on some diagnostic tools and really going from there for helping people fix their trucks. And he had grown up in the trucking business, and from there just started this in his garage on the side. And in 2 years he was doing pretty well and making the same amount of money with this business that he was with his real job. And the truck dealership said, "Tyler, we're hearing a lot about your side business. We kind of want you to stop it." And Tyler went to his wife and said, "Honey, I think I need to give up the side gig."
Wow.
And she said, "Why? Let's go for it." So he said, "Cool." And since then, we've evolved into something very different, because we've gone from a diagnostics tool provider to truly a software company. His vision was simply just to make fixing vehicles quicker, faster. He saw the slowness of looking up a part number, calling somebody about that part number, getting that part 2 days later, 5 days later, 7 days later, and that whole time that truck is just sitting there idle. A lot of times trucking companies will fly their driver home because of that. Okay, so Tyler just wanted to make that quicker, make that process shorter so that that truck can get back on the road. So what do you need to do that? And Tyler's head just went to work. And so it became, okay, we have this diagnostics code. What do you do with that diagnostics code? Well, you got to get to a part, right? So you get to a part, well, is that an OEM part or is that an aftermarket part? And so we started building all these cross-matching tools to allow you to get to other parts so that you can buy the one you need that's available and get that on that vehicle. And I say vehicle because it's not just trucks anymore. For us, it's ag, it's marine, it's off-highway. What's off-highway mean? Well, it can mean anything from motorcycle type dirt bike to construction equipment, and everything in between. Because all these engines have problems, they all have diagnostic codes, and guess what? They all need to be fixed. And all those larger ones, as you know, the longer they're sitting there, the more money that's just being wasted.
Right.
So we've been building applications, and I say applications because it's not just desktop, it's web-based and it's mobile. Because in the end, what we want is the ability to, okay, I've got the diagnostic code. I can now get to that part. I want to buy it now and get it to my truck or my piece of equipment quicker. And so the next evolution of diesel laptops, which is really kind of diesel technologies, which is really kind of vehicle technologies, is okay, as I'm driving down the road, can I predict what's going to fail next and have that part waiting for me? And so our evolution is moving and moving fast. And so part of my job as the Vice President of Technology is how quickly can I keep up with Tyler? Right. Because it's building it quickly, it's building it right, it's building it timely. And those are the things I've been doing for 30 years. So I'm really the implementer of Tyler's ideas.
Gotcha.
And so it's building it out across those platforms, and what's the quickest way to get that part to the thing that needs to be fixed.
So a lot of it is predictive analytics.
It is.
Yeah.
It's prescriptive and predictive.
Yeah, that's so true. So is this a B2C business? Is it a B2B business? Is your client or customer?
It's both.
Both. Okay,
It's
so you're
both.
reaching.
Because our customers are, maybe it's the individual mom and pop repair shop, maybe it's a fleet management, maybe it's you name it at that point.
Right.
It's whoever is the fixer, I guess, of these vehicles.
I love it. Well, and again, predictive or prescriptive, I love the analytics business. And if it can say, because as you said, if a truck goes down, if a fleet goes down, that's time.
That's time.
It's time and money. And so to me, the value proposition that you make possible is very clear. You save people time, you save people money, and you keep production flowing and rolling and on time and scheduled.
There's a second side to this equation as well, as that's the repair people. We are in a shortage of people that can perform these repairs. And so one of the things we are also doing is creating, or have created, Diesel Laptops University for the training of mechanics.
Oh, that's so smart.
And
I saw that on your website.
And by doing that at a reduced cost from the traditional, okay, we become the first option, because most of these universities cost several thousands of dollars to attend. Okay, if we cut that price, let's just say 50%, just as a raw number. Okay, so then we become the facility of choice, and by the end of this year, we ought to have 20 or 25 of these across the country. And so then if we are producing all these mechanics and they are using our diagnostics tools, and that is the requirement going into all these shops, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, similar to the way Microsoft did with universities and giving away their technology.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So you don't have to answer this question, but this is one that I don't know the answer to, and I'm genuinely interested. Have you sought outside funding? Have you received outside funding? Because to me, hearing this, not understanding the market or who your competitors might be, there is a need to scale up quickly and to kind of grow this, especially, you said now we're at multiple locations across the country, or many schools, or from a university perspective. If I were you, I would want to scale up as quickly as possible. So have you sought outside funding? Have you received anything, or is it just all organic growth based on sales?
Mostly organic growth.
Yeah.
There's been several partnerships here and there, and some of our partnerships are interesting in that we will give away some of our tools for their data. Because part of the value in all of this is, as you've lived, seen, grown, is what are you doing with the data on the back end and the analytics of that data? And so in some aspects, we've been a barter economy. And then in other aspects, it's been self-funded, and we have a partnership here or there.
Right. Really interesting. Again, I didn't mean to be too
nosy
with the question, but again, given my background, where I'm from, having been raised around this most of my life, or at least a large portion of my life, I see such a need for this.
Yes.
And it just seems to be, from a utility standpoint, incredibly useful and beneficial. And I get the value proposition that you're offering right away. And again, not knowing the internals of your business, I would want to grow this as fast as possible. So I could see how people would want to get involved, because people listening, this kind of segues into my next question, or really, I guess, the final segment here, which is how can people help you, or how can they plug in, or even more importantly, importantly, what do you need? Because there are a variety of people that will be listening or watching this, right? Some will be people with technology skills. So from a recruiting perspective, you might be looking for people with a certain skill set.
Right.
You might be looking for customers. People
Right.
might say, hey, look, I work in the auto industry, or I run a fleet, or I work for just an individual. On an individual level, gets back to that B2C component
right.
of this. It sounds like a pretty good product. Let me check the product line out. I might actually want to, acquire something and learn. Or if I'm a young person or even an older person looking to go in maybe a different field, let me check out the university component of this too. So how can people really plug in and help you?
That's a good question, because I guess the real answer is where can we not plug in? Because from our perspective, like I said, from my perspective specifically, I'm implementing Tyler's vision. Okay, so part of that includes building out a project management office. Part of that means building out a stronger development team. Part of that means building out a good business analyst and QA team. So between now and June, we already have plans to hire 50 more.
Wow.
And that's just between now and June for immediate things. Because part of that is our support desk, because in our support desk, we have both technology folks and mechanics. If a person is having a problem with a repair, they call up our mechanic staff and we will virtually help you solve that problem. Wow. And so there's truly not a limit there at this point.
That's such a cool business, and I love the model. And again, for our local audience, people watching this locally in the Midlands, South Carolina, you might have heard of your company, you might have heard of Diesel Laptops. But I think a large percentage probably haven't. Even those in the tech community, when we were introducing this morning at the conference, again, we're here at 101, introducing sponsors and partners. I venture to say, again, this is a very technical crowd. I mean, if you're here to sit through extended workshops on containers and GitHub and open source databases, you're a pretty technical person.
Agreed.
You're engaged. I think so many of our attendees just are not aware of the really great opportunities that are literally around the corner from them. And then people from out of the area, again, this is a really unique business. This is not one you hear about every day. And again, you're small, you're growing. It is a chance, from my assessment, to kind of get in on the ground floor of a really fast growing business addressing a real market niche and a really market need, a true market need.
I would absolutely agree. And without truly intending to be a disruptor in the industry, we are becoming a disruptor in the industry.
So.
And with that comes both the benefits and the negatives, because some people don't want you to disrupt because they've been doing this thing the same way for many years. And others are like, yeah, it's about time.
I love it. I really, really like it. Well, so how do they find the company online, or what's the best way to contact Diesel Laptops? And then maybe the best way to contact you directly.
Come visit us at diesellaptops.com. It'll definitely lead you to whatever parts you're looking for, or if you want to contact me directly, I'm Ross at diesellaptops.com. You can just email me there.
Thank you. Well, I really appreciate you being with us. Thanks for your support of the conference. Truly appreciate it. You were very gracious, very nice in your communication. So people should know not only are you good at what you do professionally, but you're a heck of a nice guy too.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here today, and thanks for taking the time.
Thanks again for having us.
You bet.